Hello, and welcome back to your personal yoga training tutorials, where I break down yoga postures and explain the specific muscle engagement that's needed to get the proper benefits out of it, the variations that are available to you so that you can explore your practice to figure out what works best in your unique body, right? So it's important to understand this and to be able to explore your practice so that you can build on it, right? To first understand that certain postures require certain muscle engagement so that you can build the strength to build upon them in your practice and in your flow. And then the second thing is that there are plenty of variations and many, many variations that people are unaware of when they enter into their yoga practice that can offer a scale for you to practice on so that your practice can fit you each day, depending on where you're at, where your body is at, and what you need in that day, whether you're struggling with injuries, whether you're struggling with more stress in the body and just having a harder time releasing that, right? There's all these reasons that can affect how we feel when we walk into our practice and how our body moves on our practice. So building that awareness and understanding the importance of knowing these things for your own practice so that you can go into any group class or practice at any time and know how your body feels, right? And know what's best for your body, your unique body. It's about bridging that gap between your mind and your body, right? Instead of just trying to make a shape that someone is telling you to do because it feels good in their body. So, today's pose is low squat, otherwise known as Malasana in Sanskrit. It's also called garland pose instead of low squat. It can be kind of referenced in a variety of different ways. And again, there's different variations to up the challenge. But today I want to show you the the low squat that I think a lot of people don't realize there's more accessible ways to get there, right? And that is this one. This one. You may recognize this one, right? Where we find very obvious a low squat. We're bending the knees nice and deep. We're dropping the hips down towards the floor, towards those heels. And this may not be accessible for people with tight hips with just starting their flexibility journey, right? There's all these reasons why this is a hard shape to get into. And you may find yourself more up here. You may find yourself not able to drop the heels down, right? All these things that when we start to get into this shape, we're like, oh crap, how can I comfortably sit in this shape? And so that's what I'm here to show you is these variations for being able to find the best shape in your Malasana. And the cool thing about Malasana is once you start to practice this shape, you can do it anywhere. This is a great shape to practice when you're at home, when you're just looking for a way to move your body or stretch your body or release stress or release tension. This is a great pose to take when you're playing with your dogs, when you're cleaning up on the floor, when you're at the grocery store on the bottom aisle. I'm always dropping into this pose now that I have access to it because it comes in handy out off my mat in real life. And it's a great pose for strengthening into the feet, into the ankles, into the knees, into the legs, into the low back, and into the pelvic floor, right? So it's strengthening all of that here while it also is stretching into the hips, into the groin, into the adductors, into the ankles, and into the back of the torso. So it's improving your flexibility and your range of motion and building strength and releasing tension and all of these wonderful things, including grounding. It's a very grounding posture as well. So you may be like, Megan, though, I cannot hang out in that posture like you're just hanging out, chilling, and not a worry in the world, right? It's a lot more it's a lot harder for me to be able to do that. And so I want to show you these options that can allow you maybe a little bit more ease in this posture, which is first, check in. You don't have to, first check in. You don't have to drop down this low. If you feel like up here is where you need to be, use your blocks, right? Use your blocks, take those blocks so that you can have those underneath the hands to support you as you drop the hips, as you work to keep the heels on the floor, and as you work to open those hips and drop those hips, right? Or you can also take a block and set it underneath the hips so that you have a little support to set something down on, right? And you're not having to like be so much into your weight of your limbs, of your legs there. Having a firmer, sturdier block is useful for being able to sit on top of it, but maybe you decide that you want 2 blocks, right? Utilizing your blocks to help fill in that gap if it's needed, right? And you can find this low squat. You can also, this is my favorite one that I love to cue. Also, you can just drop the hips down to the floor, separate those feet wide, have those knees bent and wide, and you're finding that similar shape of opening into the hips, of being able to get that stretching factor of what we're doing in our low squat without having to strain yourself of being up on those feet if that's just not accessible. So know that dropping onto the hips and just allowing your elbows to kind of press into the knees or thighs as you open through the chest and try to sit tall through the spine can be a great variation to take. So those are your options for your low squat. Take note of them, right? Sitting on the hips or using a block, right? Because what we want to do is open through those hips, maybe press those elbows into those knees, whether you have that block underneath the hips or not, right? That's a way to help open and deepen as you lift the chest and sit tall into the spine and try to drop that pelvic floor towards the floor, right? And tuck that pelvis under, right? So this is all things that you can try. This is all things that you are free to explore in your practice and you have permission to. I encourage you to, because this is how you're going to find out what works best for you and again, build on your practice in an intuitive way, right? And it can be so much stronger and so much more powerful when you can do it that way. So I encourage you to try out these variations, see what you think. Let me know if you try them out. Let me know if they made any difference. And, with these variations, again, it's a scale. So like maybe you try out this variation for a month or so, and then you go back to taking that block out, or you try out that variation that was inaccessible to you. And maybe you find, oh, it's more accessible now because you've created that space, you've stepped back, right, and were able to see what you needed to do in that moment to make that adjustment so you can build onto getting to that over time, right? Getting to that point of where you were trying to go over time. It's all a practice. It's yoga practice, not yoga perfect. So I will be back next week with another pose for your personal yoga training tutorials. Stay tuned. And until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, week, weekend, wherever you're at, whenever you're viewing this. I hope you're doing well.